Hi there. If you work with KoboToolbox collecting data and then want to draw that data into Power BI, there is a simple way of automatically connecting KoboToolbox to Power BI using an API, which is simply like a URL or like a web connection that will connect your Power BI directly to your KoboToolbox account. So you don't have to download an Excel form or CSV form and then upload it into Power BI. We'll just make an automatic connection between the two pieces of software so that your data can refresh as new forms and questionnaires are submitted if you're doing a survey or any other kind of data collection using KoboToolbox.
In Power BI, I've made a connection to KoboToolbox using an API. I'm showing a simple visualization that counts the number of records submitted in KoboToolbox, 71. Now in KoboToolbox, I'm going to add one more submission. I'll fill that form out and press submit. And you can see the submission count in KoboToolbox now updates from 71 to 72. Back in Power BI, I hit the little refresh button and the data is automatically updated from 71 to 72. So that's the power of an API connection to Power BI.
First things first, I have just prepared a small PowerPoint presentation that will actually walk you through the steps to do this. So I'll leave the link in the description below the video so that you can go and download this PowerPoint to get all of those different components. So the first thing you want to do is open up a notepad, a little text file. Most of us have something like this on our computer, so notepad, and we're going to get a few different components to construct the URL for making this API connection. So the very first thing you want to do is get a Kpi URL. What is that? A little bit confusing. I'm going to show you. So I'm going to jump over into my PowerPoint just to show you what you'll see when you download that PowerPoint, and then we'll start constructing and getting these different components. So your Kpi URL. Okay, so the very first thing you need to know is, do you use kf.kobotoolbox.org or kobo.humanitarianresponse.info? So if you're a humanitarian organization, you probably use this little one. If you're not a humanitarian organization, you probably use this little one. Try one. If it doesn't work, then try the other. It's no big deal. So I'm going to copy this one, okay, directly from this PowerPoint, and I'm going to go into my notepad and I'll copy it here. So that's my Kpi URL component. If you're a humanitarian organization, then copy the other one from that PowerPoint. Then you want to get your API. So this is again back in the PowerPoint documentation. To find your API token, go to this website, which is what you need, where you need that Kpi URL. So I'm going to copy this one and I will go paste that in a browser and let's see what it takes us to. So I'm in my blank browser. I am signed into KoboToolbox. Okay, so I'm signed in my KoboToolbox account. So definitely do that first, and then go to a blank browser and paste that URL from that PowerPoint and enter. Okay, so this is your API token. Okay, this is private. You don't share this with anyone. Okay, so this is going to give you access, or it's going to give Power BI access into your KoboToolbox account. So after token, there's a little colon, and then you're going to just take the letters and numbers, okay? So don't copy the little quotation marks, don't copy token, don't copy anything except the letters. You're going to copy that, and then you're going to paste that into your notepad, okay? So now we have our Kpi URL, we have our API, and now what you need to get is your form UID, okay? So now we're back in the PowerPoint and it's showing you how to find your form UID. So visit your project in KoboToolbox, look at the URL, and the UID is between forms and summary, okay? So we're in KoboToolbox. We want to go to the project. So I'm going to go to test analysis data. Okay, so that's the project. This is all fake data just created for this tutorial. And when I open that project and look at the URL, I see kobotoolbox.org number sign, forms, slash, and then I see this string of letters and numbers before summary. Okay, so it's between forms and summary. So don't copy the backslashes, just copy the numbers and letters, copy that form UID, and back in the notepad, you're going to then paste that. Okay, so now we have the KPI URL, the API, the form UID, and now we're ready to construct the URL for connecting KoboToolbox to Power BI. So we have this little fake URL or the construct, and it's got KPI URL there. So I want you to replace your KPI URL with that one. And then assets and then form UID there. So we're going to copy the form UID from here and we're going to paste it where it says form UID there. Okay, and there we have our URL for connecting KoboToolbox to Power BI. Okay, so now we have everything we need to connect Power BI directly into KoboToolbox. So open up Power BI and let's get started. So when you're in Power BI, what I want you to do is first go to Get Data and go down to Web. Click on Advanced. And you'll see here that you can put your URL in. So URL parts, what you want to do is go copy this URL that you've constructed, copy, and put it here. Okay. So you just want to make sure there's no like spaces or anything funky going on there. That's why we kind of construct that in Notepad, because sometimes when you do it in Microsoft Word, it adds little spaces and then it'll just be very confusing. So we have no spaces there. Then what we want to do here in the HTTP request header parameters, we want to put authorization. And then over here in this box, you want to write token and then a space. And then go back to your notepad, copy the API. Okay, and after that space, paste in your API. And then you are going to click OK. Power BI will now open the Power Query Editor, and you will see this JSON list with records come up. Okay, so it's bringing in the data in a format called JSON, J-S-O-N, and don't be too scared, that's fine. What we want to do then is just click on this little button up here that says To Table and press OK. Okay, and then you'll see column 1, and you want to click on this little button, which means expand the columns, okay? So it's going to bring up all of these columns. And what we want to do is just untick here, use original column name as prefix. We don't want that, okay? So unclick that and then press OK. Great, and now it has brought in all of that data from our KoboToolbox account. So I didn't download anything, I just brought it in. And now we can start to work with this data the same as you would in a Power Query. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove some of these columns. So I'm going to remove that one. I don't want that. So I've got monthly income. There's a meta instance ID. Yeah, we'll keep that. We'll just reorder some of these. So version, that's fine. We'll keep that. Submission time, that's fine. Gender, yep, let's bring that over here. And age, yeah, I'm going to bring that over here as well, so that I can kind of keep all of my main columns together and then all of my metadata columns together. Okay, so monthly income, village, gender, age, and then some of these I'm going to just delete, so I don't want that. I'm going to hold down the shift key. I don't want those 3 columns. Right click and remove columns. Geolocation I'm going to remove. X form ID string, that's fine, I'll keep that. Validation status I'm going to remove. I don't really want this status. I'm going to remove that. That's my UID. End and start for this form I don't want, so I'm going to remove that. So just go through and kind of clean up your columns, just like you would when you're importing data when you're through Excel. I'm going to rename this column over here, or the, sorry, table, not the column, to be my income data. Okay, monthly income, village, gender, and age. And then what I'm going to do is click on close and apply. So now what I'm going to do is just do a simple count, okay? So over here it's called a card, okay? And I'm gonna click on card, and I want to count the number of UUIDs here. So I'm gonna add UUID, and I'm gonna just click this little down button, and I'm going to do count distinct. Okay, and it's showing me that I have 71 forms. Now I'm going to go over into KoboToolbox, and I am going to go to my form, and I'm going to add a submission. So I'm going to open a new form. I'm going to add one submission. Vulcan Lake, monthly income is 500, and I'm going to submit that, okay? So it's going to just tell me, so right now it's got that record queued. It's going to tell me when it's submitted. All right, successfully submitted. I'll close that. So I can see here, if I go to data, it will show me now there are 72 answers to this question. So that's great. I'm going to go back to Power BI, and I'm going to hit this little button called refresh. Okay, and when I hit that little button called refresh, what we want to happen is that this count will now change to 72, and there you see it changed. Okay, so I didn't have to download any data or upload any data to Power BI. There's just an automatic web connection using that URL and the API directly into KoboToolbox, so that now your data can be refreshed. And as you add any kind of visualization, so you can add other pie charts or bar charts, and as you refresh that data in Power BI, it will automatically update those visualizations, and you've got that connection. So hopefully that's helpful. Don't forget to download the PowerPoint if that would be very helpful, so that you can kind of have all of those URL components. Also, subscribe to this channel if it was helpful. If you're a humanitarian or development worker and you regularly work with data analysis or data collection, then I'd really, really love you to join our community here on Humanitarian Data Solutions, and give me a thumbs up if that's helpful, and I hope to see you around. See you soon. Bye.